Good afternoon, Samantha sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Samantha sir. Good afternoon, Hariharan sir.
Good afternoon, Sumit sir. Good afternoon, Satendra sir.
Good afternoon. Very good afternoon.
गुड आफ्टरनून
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
कैसे हैं सुनील
ठीक
सर
है
कैसे हैं
कलकत्ता में अभी तो डिप्रेशन चल रहा है बहुत है बारिश हो रहा टुडे इज वेदर इज आल्सो वेरी बैड है लॉट ऑफ डिप्रेशन
इधर भी
उधर
मैं भोपाल में हूँ एंड देयर इज नो नेट नो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी
अच्छा 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 अच्छा
Good afternoon.
गुड आफ्टरनून
Good afternoon, Kishore Saab. Yeah. Kishore Saab, you are in Bhopal.
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं है उस कारण नेट भी नहीं है
Oh.
रघुन सर हाँ भोपाल में यहाँ बिजली चली गई है
गुड आफ्टरनून सर
तो मोबाइल से आना पड़ा उनको
Oh, अच्छा. But Bhopal is supposed to be a better town than Ranchi in these respects.
ये
Oh, madam, have you joined? Yeah, sure. Okay. No, it's not started. You can join.
I think we will be more happy with this. Very important. For our university, we will have more to appreciate like this. And one thing which you approach in the going outside, you see there is like from Bangalore to and you go to Hyderabad or Bangalore and you meet some people, you say how many people from Bangalore are some of them are there. People are there. These numbers.
No, very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon, sir. Very good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, very good afternoon, Dr. Samantha, seeing you after a long time.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, very good afternoon. Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, Dr. Hariharan, sir, are you all right?
Yes, yeah, I'm quite okay now.
You are recovered completely,
Yeah,
or rather more or less.
yeah, it was just a matter of 1 week.
Yeah. No, but it affects the immunity system and makes you very weak.
Yes.
Yeah,
Feedback 2 years back, there are director came to our university. They requested for space. So they are registered and director both came. So he's from Hyderabad. You wanted to space. Thank you very much, Dr. Shah and all the experts. Good discussion.
Yes, Nadi. See, अभी तो क्या करना है? What is that you want to do? We'll go ahead with this. Oh, okay. So, it's okay in that case. I think
Respected VC, sir, and all the dignitaries, Dr. Samantha, I welcome you all for the Viva Voce of Mr. Govardhan. Now I'll request VC sir to address us.
Okay. Dr. P.K. Samantha, the external examiner for the Voce today. Dr. Suvi Chattopadhyay, Dr. Hariharan, Dr. Ramraji, Dr. Susan, all the faculty members, and also a number of PhD scholars have joined the program today, to the event today. So a hearty welcome to all of you to today's the Voce of Mr. Govardhan Shetty. And his topic is something very, very interesting. And this topic is how the farmers select the banks for taking the loans. And his supervisor is Dr. Gautam Tanti. And today we're fortunate we have the extra examiner, Dr. P.K. Samanta from the ICMAR. Now, in fact, he used to be with our ICFI group for quite some time. He was in IBS Bhubaneswar and subsequently in our ICFI University, Jharkhand. And he has been with ICMAR. And the second extra examiner is Dr. P.V. Rajiv, is a professor from BHU. So I got to know that, all of a sudden he has become sick. So because of that, I think he's unable to join us. But he has sent across the kind of a report, evaluation report. And, he has recommended for the Voce. So considering that both the examiners have recommended for the Voce, as per the regulations of the university, it is all right, even if one of the extra examiners takes the Voce. So with this, today we'll go ahead with the Voce. So as is customary, the scholar is given in our university about 45 minutes of time to make a presentation of his thesis. And he can assume that, the examiner has gone through that. And all of us also, we know that because we have gone through the thesis presentation. You can highlight particularly what is your work. And if you can do that, then after that, the extra examiner has the first right to ask the questions. When the examiner completes the Voce, then the floor is open to the rest of us to ask any questions. So with these few words, over to Mr. Govardhan Shetty to make his Voce presentation.
Okay, thank you, sir. I will share my screen. Okay. So good afternoon, VC sir, Dr. Samanta, and all dignitaries. So I will start my presentation. So my research topic is factors influencing a farmer's decision to select a bank for availing an agriculture loan with a bank. And my supervisor is Dr. Gautam Tanti from IUJ Ranchi, and I have a co-supervisor who is Dr. Sarika Lohana, who is a post-doctorate fellow in State Bank of India Innovation Technology, Hyderabad. So I just give a few introduction about myself. I have been a banker for last 25 years. My last, I have been working, now also I'm working with ICICI Bank. During 2016, when I took up this chapter, I was working at ICICI Bank corporate office in Mumbai, and I was in Agri Finance Division. And before that, I was working as head in Karnataka for rural business. So as such, I was closely linked at that point of time with agriculture and agriculture loan. And as such, when I took up PhD, I took a chapter which was very close to my heart regarding agriculture loan. In my personal experience, earlier I had seen that a lot of farmers come and take loans with the ICICI Bank, which is a private bank. And we also used to find out that some people were not willing to take. And we used to put across a lot of efforts, a lot of advertisements, etc., to get more business from the customers. But somewhere, some farmers were reluctant and some farmers were happily coming to us. So that's where I had a thought that then what are these factors which will influence a farmer to come to a bank? So when I got an opportunity to do a research, I thought, okay, this is a chapter which I should study, and this is how it started. So as far as the external examiner's review is concerned, this is what I have put across. So we had two examiners. First one, there were some places where sources were not mentioned, and there was one error on one page.
Yeah, Mr. Govardhan, it is not visible. Make it a full screen. We could not able to see that slide.
1 second, sir. Sir, is it visible now?
Yes. So now it is visible. I think please go ahead, and you also must see that the slides are moving or not. Earlier they were not moving at all. So now please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. This is the second screen. Sir, this is visible now. External examiners review.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So here I had two reviews from examiners. Examiner 1, I had some places where focus had to be mentioned, which I mentioned, and error was there on 2 pages, on page 94 of 173, which was identified, and I have rectified the same. And with examiner 2, we had some more actionables. One was conceptual framework to map to research campus observation, which I have updated. I will share during my presentation. Second, research methodology questions and problem to aligned was there. That also I have done. Third, variables identification to be elaborated, that I have elaborated in page 67, and details on sampling method to be given, which also I updated on page 82. And one more was title to be ruled, and it should not start with factors. So because this title was factors influencing. So as such, we have to, I request the panel whether which of these we can adopt. One is selection of banking for availing an agricultural loan, a study on the factors influencing a farmer's decision, or influencing factor for selecting a bank to avail an agri loan, a descriptive study. And third one, determinants of selecting a bank for availing an agricultural loan. So this way we can modify this, because overall the idea is, the subject is that we are studying the factors which influence a farmer's decision to take a loan. So this is on the examiner's review. As I'll go through the presentation and we'll come back to this. Okay, this is the I have outlined the presentation. First one, the introduction, it gives brief about the topic. Then regarding literature review, whatever I have conducted, and research design, the steps taken for research, and what all has happened in data analysis, what are the data analysis I have done, and finally the conclusion. So the introduction chapter. So I'll start with this related agri-finance, some basics on agriculture. First one, the type of loans. As we see in agriculture, there are 4 types of loans. Normally, KCC crop loans, what we call, this is required on a regular basis for the farmer. Then, which is the major, which constitutes the major portion. Apart from that, for farming, they require land development loans, and then for irrigation, then equipment loans and machinery, tractors, etc. And also some people require allied equity loans for dairy, etc. And if you see in the market, there are 4 types of lenders. First one is the banks, which include private sector bank, public sector banks, and regional rural banks. Next, we have the cooperative banks. Also, we have some non-banking financial companies and smaller financial institutions. And also, still there are a lot of local money lenders. So this is how the structure is there in villages. Now, let me go a little back as to how this agriculture finance evolved in India. Earlier, pre-independence, if you see, local money lenders had a bigger hand. From local money lenders, slowly it moved to private banks. And that time, it was difficult for a farmer to get loans. Later on, post-independence, most of the banks were nationalized, which was one of the important steps taken by the government. And the government intervention was high to see that more finance happens to agriculture. So banks were nationalized, and there came something called priority sector lending norms, which showed that at least 40% of the total lending of any bank should go to agriculture, and out of this 18% should go to agriculture. 40% should go to all priority sectors, and 18% should go to agriculture. So this was the intervention. Further going ahead, there was something called service area approach which came, where each village was allocated to some particular bank. And these villages were supposed to take loan with only that bank, and that bank had to fulfill its target by lending only to these villages. This is how the finance evolution of agri-finance evolved in India. Later on, in 1991 onwards, certain things happened with the new economic policy which came up. There were a lot of new private sector banks which came up. When the private sector banks came up, they had to lend in the same space, and agriculture finance increased, and also competition among banks to lend to the farmer also increased. Second, RBI made a branch licensing policy in 1991, which said that if any bank has to open 4 branches in a metro, then at least 1 branch should be opened in a rural unbanked area. So 20% of the branches had to be opened in rural unbanked area. And because of this, more number of branches started opening in rural and unbanked areas. And what happened was, in these areas, ideally the business is agri lending. So that is also one reason how agri business increased in India. Further, in 2008, something else changed. The priority sector lending norms earlier, which told 18% has to be given to agriculture, this included agriculture lending to even companies like seed manufacturing companies or any bigger company like Nestle, whatever the banks were lending. That was also included in priority sector. But in 2008, they removed it and told, go and lend it to farmers only. All those will not be considered priority sector lending. Because of this, the lending to individual farmers had to be done by the banks. So now if you see after that, a lot of private sector banks have started opening branches in villages. So this competition among banks to lend more towards agriculture because of this. And because of this, even the differential loan products came up. The banks came up with the different type of loan products under agriculture. All this has come to the benefit of the farmer. Now I will come to the brief on the research topic. As I discussed earlier, agriculture loans to farmers, which was once upon a time at the mercy of the bank, it's a different story today. The farmer is in a position to choose a bank whichever can provide loans to him as per his requirements, choice and convenience. And as I told, RBI mandated the banks to lend 40% of their advances to priority sector, of 18% towards direct agriculture to farmers. And with the increase in the number of private sector banks in this competition, the competition increased. And the banks, if they want to increase their lending book, they are supposed to lend to agriculture. So this is where the competition increased among banks to the advantage of the farmer. So this analysis, this research is to identify the significant factors which influence the decision making of a farmer as to which bank he has to take an agriculture loan. So definitely there are a lot of factors which impact a farmer. We try to study in this particular research which are those particular factors which are important and significant to a farmer to take loan with the bank. So this study helps in deciding which are the key areas on which the banks need to focus upon if they have to increase their agribusiness. So this is brief on the research topic. So now the question, why this topic? What motivated me? As I discussed earlier also, there are many strategies and plans which banks make to increase agricultural lending, as the bank cannot grow its overall lending book unless it lends 18% of its total loans to agriculture sector. During my previous roles, I always had this question as to when such strategies are adopted by the bank, whether this strategy, what I'm adopting, is effective or not. Or out of, if I'm doing three, four things, which is more important? And is the effectiveness different between different places? So these are the questions what I had. For example, as a banker, if I have to spend money on a TV advertisement, whether it is worth doing for a farmer area, or whether a hoarding will work in a village, which is a cheaper thing, or even a leaflet distribution will help, or whether if I reduce the processing fees, that will be more beneficial. These questions motivated to take up the topic of research to find the answers to the question through my research. So for this, the scope of the study includes detailed analysis of the decision making of the farmers who have taken agricultural loan with banks. So this does not include any other loans or any other institutions other than bank. So banks and agriculture loan to farmers, these are the only things included under scope. And for population, this study is conducted in 2 districts in Karnataka, in Koppal and Chitradurga. These 2 are very prominent in agriculture. I have detailed further in research design section. Next, I'll go to review of literature. So literature, I have grouped under 3 categories. One is various reports of RBI and NABARD circulars, which give a lot of information. Second one is research papers and articles on customer decision making, and which is very specific reference to customers who select a bank for their requirement. And also various literature on the specific influencing factors one by one. This is how I had categorized. I will describe very few literature here, which are key and important, and on customer selection. So basically, this is a consumer model, consumer decision-making model. There is a study of A. Stanwich, which interprets customer decision models, start from funnel model, where customer narrows down from a bunch of products to a single product, and also how he makes additional purchases. And there are some different models. This was one of the important things which gave a base for my study. Then there are some more literature which I did, which are very specific to a customer selecting a bank. H.V. Kumari, this is a study done in Chennai, where they concluded that branch location and reputation and competitive rates are most important. And one more, J. Falil, 2011, in Saudi Arabia. This is for businessmen only, and they consider that bank product offering, bank's product, different products given to a businessman, ATM network and availability of internet banking are most important. Next, one more, M. Sayuti. Here he says reliability of the bank, responsiveness of the staff, and value-added services are the important factors. Similarly, there is one R.E. Hinson who says that convenience and relationship with the bank employees are most beneficial. Then there is a study on Z. Iqbal for SME business. He says that here also they describe most of the tactical bring out the factors in detail which influence both categories to select a bank requirement. Then I have one J. Era and H. Begum. He says that use of technology and trustworthiness of staff are the most important factors. One more J.C. Toth is there. They say interest cost is a major influencing factor. Well, this is for personal loan. For personal loans, the interest is the important factor. And we have one Dr. C. Ibrahim who says that ATM is the main important factor because this is for the millennials. Then one Dr. N. Barwal is there. This was conducted in Himachal Pradesh states on 2 cooperative banks as to why they choose cooperative banks for taking loans. So here it is considered as quick loan and low interest rates. And another one is J.W. Mariam. This study includes many types of customers of a bank like businessmen, salaried employees, and students. This is a more generic study and most common factors, influencing factors are considered in the study. And this study is also cited in more than 12 articles. So I have taken this study as a base for the current research and consider the factors in this research for my study also. So here, this study also, the following 6 factors it considers as important in that study. First one is convenience and security. Second is efficient customer service. Third, influence from others to bank with this bank. Environment of the bank and ambience. Reputation of the bank. Financial and technological benefits. So these are all the literature studied. So if you see overall the gist of the literature study, I have done agri-finance related literature, which brings out the importance of funding to agriculture banks in India and priority sector of RBI and competition against banks. These articles narrate about the competition among banks in general and the choice to the farmer to select a bank which gives him optimum benefits and the factors which influence the customer. Overall, the literature review brings out the need for agriculture finance, regulation, concept of competition among banks and various influencing factors which induce the customer to select a bank. So this is what we get from the literature. Now, when I go to the research gap, first I find that there are studies on consumer behavior. There are several studies carried on consumer behavior in selecting a product or certificate, specifically in banking and finance industry also. Studies are conducted on customer behavior and his choices to select a particular bank to avail banking services. Then there is a lot of research on banking customer relationship. In banking specific, there are research and studies done on the customer behavior and the factors which influence a customer to avail banking services in general or in specific to any type of loan or a particular financial product. What the research gap identified was this research focuses specifically on the farmer when he wants to select a bank for availing an agriculture loan. So this research gap is identified as in-depth study on the choice of a farmer taking a decision to select a bank to avail an agriculture loan and the factor influencing the decision. This is the research gap. So this is the conceptual framework which I have designed based on the literature review and practical experience. This is the diagrammatic representation. So if you see left side, I have willingness. Willingness is the dependent variable. Willingness means it is he wants to take a loan, and following are the factors which are in blue: advertisement, convenience, meeting, influence, recovery, loan benefit, cost of loan, and rapport and service. So these influencing factors I have derived from these references I have given, 2-3 references. And then the moderators, we have also moderated the impact of these moderators: education, age, loan amount, type of farmer, district, and type of bank. These are the moderators where we get an idea as to what is the impact of these moderators on the influencing factors. This is the conceptual framework. So that's about literature review and research gap. The next I'll move to research design and methodology. Yeah, the research design and methodology, I have got the following 7 things: research questions, objectives and research problem, hypothesis formulation, scope of the research, population, sampling method and sampling plan, preparation of the questionnaire, pilot study and results, and how I done the data collection. So first one is a research question. Following are the 3 research questions. First one, the main research question is the significant factors. Which are the factors considered by a farmer to be important and significant for selecting a bank to avail an agriculture loan? And second one, indirect impact. Whether any of these factors also have an indirect effect on the decision making of the farmer. So this I will explain during my mediation analysis. And last one, demographical impact. Whether these influencing factors are impacted by various demographic factors like age of the farmer, category of the bank, etc. So these are the three questions I had. And what is the research problem? The research problem is identifying and studying the factors which can induce a farmer to take a loan with a particular bank, which is very beneficial to a bank because it can put across its strategies and efforts toward these most important factors which can yield results in this particular area. So which are the factors which are really significant in influencing a farmer to select a particular bank to take an agriculture loan is a research problem, which is tested in the study. So in addition to this, indirect impact of the factors and demographical influence also studied in this research. Now, objectives of the research, overall objectives, first one is to identify the significant factors which influence the decision making of a farmer to select a bank to an agriculture loan. Second one is to help the farmers. This will help the bankers. This will help the banks in building suitable strategies in agriculture finance using the results. And last one, addition to literature, this will definitely add to the existing literature as it is a specific content which is specific to the field of agriculture. So these are the research objectives. Now I'll go to hypothesis formulation. Totally, I have 3 hypothesis formulation. So I have mentioned the null hypothesis here. First one is significance of influencing factor. So there is no significant impact of the influencing factor on the decision making of a farmer to avail an agriculture loan with the bank. This is the first hypothesis. Second one is a mediation impact. Mediating variable does not mediate the relationship between an influencing factor and willingness of the farmer to avail a loan with the bank. This I will explain in detail. Next, demographic variables effect. Moderation impact. Moderating variable does not moderate the relationship between an influencing factor and willingness of the farmer to avail a loan with the bank. So now this hypothesis 1, significance, it has got 8 sub-hypotheses because I have got 8 influencing factors. So these are as below. There is no significant impact of advertisement on the willing of the farmer to avail an agri loan with a particular bank. Similarly, we have convenience as a factor, meeting as a factor, influence as a factor, and recovery efforts as a factor, recovery process as a factor, loan benefits as a factor, and cost of loan as a factor, and rapport and service as a factor. So these are the 8 factors on which we will identify which is the significant factor through hypothesis 1. Now, second, I have hypothesis 2. See, the basis of this second hypothesis is when there are more than one factor impacting the decision of a farmer to take a loan, what would be the impact of some other factor in altering the significance of a given factor on the decision-making process of the farmer? For example, influence from the family is a significant factor in the decision-making of a farmer to select a particular bank. So if there is a contra impact of lower rate of interest in some other bank, can this alter the significance of influence from family factor is the question. So why such a question came up? There are various studies on factors influencing a customer to select a bank. And for example, L.A. Almodi, he says internet bank is important. Sahadev Bhatt in his theory, he says reputation security is important. Isaac says service facilities are important. And Nadav says employee behavior is important. So like that, there are different factors which studies say each factor is important, maybe in different areas. So we can't say there's any universal factor. So that's why we thought, okay, let us see what is the indirect impact. And that is where we did the mediation analysis. So the concept of mediation I've explained here. This hypothesis study is the change in the significance of an independent variable on the dependent variable when the relationship is mediated by another variable. If significance between the independent variable and dependent variable changes post-mediation, it is called complete mediation. If the significance between the IV and DV does not change, but the indirect relationship between IV, MV, and DV is also shown as significant, then it is called partial mediation. And if significance between the IV and DV does not change, and the IV, MV, DV relationship is not significant, it is called no mediation. So this is the concept. Now, I have 8 influencing factors, which are independent variables. And to start with, all these are important, equally important. So we have taken every other variable as a mediating variable with each variable. Hence, 8 into 7, I have got 56 sub-hypotheses derived, which I have stated in the next page for mediation analysis. So the null hypothesis for mediation is stated as below. First hypothesis I mentioned here. Here, independent variable, for example, is advertisement by banks. Mediating variable is convenience to farmers, and dependent variable is willingness. So the null hypothesis says convenience to farmer, mediating variable does not mediate the relationship between advertisement and willingness to avail an agri loan with the bank. And alternate hypothesis says convenience to farmer mediates the relationship between advertisement and willingness of the farmer to avail a bank. So rest of the 55 hypotheses follow the same pattern, taking every other influencing factor as the mediating variable. So this is the basic theory. In data analysis, I have explained the results. So next is the hypothesis 3. Hypothesis 3 is simple. It's a moderation effect. Demographic variable impact. The significance of an independent variable may or may not be the same under different demographic conditions or where the respondents belong to different categories. This hypothesis studies the impact of moderation between independent variable and dependent variable by a third variable, which is a demographical or categorical variable. So the definition says a moderator is a variable that affects the direction or strength of a relationship between an independent and a dependent variable. So the demographic variables identified are age of the farmer, education of the farmer, a type of farmer, loan amount availed, district of the farmer, and type of bank where loan is availed, and these are a part of the question. So this is on moderation analysis. And moderation also, we have totally 48 hypotheses, as there are 6 demographic variables and I have 8 influencing factors. The first one I have mentioned here, the rest will follow the same pattern. Independent variable, for example, is advertisement by banks. Moderating variable is age of the farmer, and dependent variable is willingness. So the null hypothesis says age does not moderate the relation between advertisement and willingness of the farmer. And alternate hypothesis says age moderates the relation between advertisement and willingness of a farmer. So now scope of the research. The scope of the research, I have taken lending institutions, I have taken bank only, which is public, private sector, rural banks, and cooperative bank. It does not include any financial institution, money industry, etc. And type of loans in this is only restricted to agriculture loans taken by a farmer, and it does not take any other type of loans, even taken by a farmer. So this is on scope. The population. Now, I have taken the study in 2 districts of Karnataka, which are Chitradurga and Koppal. Totally, there are 30 districts in Karnataka, and agriculture activity overall is observed in all the districts. These 2 districts selected for this study contribute around 9% of the total agriculture production of the state, as per state level banker committee meeting 2017. So that means these are more important, having a higher agriculture activity. Farmers at these 2 districts grow almost all the type of crops and conduct other agricultural activities, and taken as representative district for the state. And the population, as per the data of SLBC is same, the number of farmers who have taken agricultural loan from banks is 2.71 lakhs in Chitradurga and 1.75 lakhs in Koppal in 2017. Hence, total number of farmers is 4.44 lakhs, which is the population for my study. Now, sampling selection of banks. So again, we found the volume criteria here. So State Bank of India contribute 27% of the agribusiness at Chitradurga, followed by Syndicate Bank, Vijaya Bank, 16 and 14%. While the private sector bank Axis contributes 6%, ICICI Bank contributes 4%, and Karnataka Bank contributes 22% of the share. Similarly, the share of Koppal also. Hence, these are the banks that are selected for the study. And sample size, as I told, it was 4.4 lakhs. And based on the formula, standard formula with the 5% precision and 95% confidence level, 400 is required. This is the sample size minimum required. So this is the sampling method I have collected, because see, I have selected 2 districts and I have selected different banks. So I had to have a stratified random sampling. That means I have to collect data from each of these places. So this is what we have done. So 400 samples from 2 districts I have to collect, one from Chitradurga and one from Koppal. Then again, from each of these districts, I have to collect from public sector bank, private sector bank, regional rural bank, and cooperative bank. So public sector, we identified 3 banks, SBI, Syndicate Bank, and Vijaya Bank that time. Private sector, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, regional rural bank in that area, there only 1 regional bank, Karnataka Gramina Bank, and cooperative bank, which in Chitradurga, we selected Chitradurga Cooperative Bank. So this is how we selected the banks. Now further sampling method, we have to go through how much are we going to collect. So this was based on the agri lending volumes, where public sector banks had the higher volumes, then was regional rural banks, and then private sector banks. Cooperative banks had lower values. So we prepared a table basing on which we would interview the farmers. So we took in public sector bank minimum 40% to be collected and 55% to be collected, or maximum 55%. Private sector 20 minimum, 30 maximum. Regional rural bank also 20 minimum, 30 maximum, and cooperative bank 6 minimum and 9 maximum. So basing on this, we had a plan, again distributed between Chitradurga and Koppal district, and we had a plan to collect around 418 and minimum maximum slightly more than that. So we approached around 453 farmers for data collection, and we could get from 442 respondents, and 430 has been taken for my analysis. So the research design, if you see, this is a quantitative research design. Because it measures the variables, this whatever data I'm getting, it is quantifiable and it can be analyzed through statistical procedures. So it is a quantitative research, and research method is a survey method. It is based on questionnaire distributed, and we have taken it one point of time. So it is a cross-sectional study at that point of time. And research type is a descriptive research that is builds upon an existing literature and derives the answers to the research question through the study of the output. So these are the research design. Next is the questionnaire development. As I told, I have taken that GW Mariam, which is one important article, and based on that article, we have made some minor customizations only. Customers in the existing model need to be farmer instead of general, and banking services need to be availing of agricultural loan in specific. And we have developed this questionnaire which had 39 statements, 12 statements on demographic variables, and 1 dependent variable, and factors we had 26 independent variables, which I will show in the next slides. So first we conducted a pilot study. It was done in September 2018, and we had administered to 40 farmers in Chitradurga pertaining to 2 banks. And the questionnaire had 40 statements, 12 were demographical variable, and 28 dependent and independent variables. Data was analyzed, and we could get a Cronbach alpha that time of 0.772, so hence the questionnaire was validated to that extent. So the actual data collection, we started in January 2009, and it went up to November 2009 because we had to visit a lot of locations. It took around 11 months. And the area covered was Chitradurga and Koppal districts. And approach was we contacted the farmers at villages with the help of bankers whom I know there. And process was face-to-face contact survey. We interacted with most of them, and more than 95% of them we have filled the forms, and very few of them they themselves have filled the form. Overall, 453 contacted and 430 questionnaires we got. And secondary data, books, we have studied books on agriculture, finance, banking laws, etc. And publication by banks, internal publication of bank by circular guidelines, Reserve Bank of India circular issued by RBI, published periodically, and reports from government authorities, state level banker committee meeting, etc. These are all helpful for me to substantiate various data cuts for explanations and identify the sample district and bank considered for the study. So this is about my research design. Now let me explain the next one, data analysis and findings. So as I told, the questionnaire construct. The questionnaire, the first demographic variables we have collected, it is both nominal and ordinal scale as per demographic variables, and independent variable and dependent variable both were on a 5-point Likert scale. Independent variable, we had 5 questions in the ascending order, that whether that particular factor is important or not. He will tick 1 if it is not at all important, and 5 it is very important. So this is how the independent variables were in the questionnaire. And dependent variable was willingness, whether he is willing to take a loan with the bank or not. So 1 is definitely not willing to take the bank, and 5 would be definitely willing to take a bank. This was the simple questionnaire construct analysis. So basing on the data we collected, this is the demographic profile of the farmers what we got. So if you see, 45% from public sector bank, 23% from private sector bank, 25% from regional rural bank, and 7% from cooperative banks. And district Chitradurga, we got 55%, Koppal 45%. And age of the farmer, if you see, 10% up to 25 years, 25 to 45 years, 36, 50 up to 60 years, 45%, above 60 years, 9%. Then this is a general median age. Then I had bifurcation of amount, loan up to 1 lakh, this up to 1 lakh to 3 lakh, 3 lakh to 15 lakhs, and above 15 lakhs. There is some plan, some thought behind this bifurcation. Up to 1 lakh in Karnataka, normally the collateral is, land collateral is not directly taken. There is no collateral as such. And up to above 1 lakh, there is a collateral of land. And above 1 lakh to 3 lakh in Karnataka, we get a subsidy. There is a interest subvention on crop loans. So that is one more category. So this up to 1 lakh and 1 to 3 lakh have a different thing. 3 lakh to 15 lakhs are medium farmers and above 15 lakhs are large farmers. That's how this categorization happened. And we have a farmer type. This is also similar to loan amount, but not actually, because this definition goes as per RBI circular. So marginal farmer is a person who has land up to 2.5 acres, small farmer up to 5 acres, medium farmer 15 acres, and large farmer above 15 acres. So here we have 23% marginal farmers and 45% small farmers, 24% medium farmers. So if you see, small farmers and medium farmers constitute most of the population. And education to farmers, I have illiterate up to 10th standard, about 10th up to graduate and PG professional. Here the noting point is that the major we had was up to 10th standard and about 10th standard. So these 6 demographic profile of a farmer is widely spread across these parameters, and we have taken this for moderation analysis. Apart from this, our questionnaire also had the following demographic profile: which religion they belong to, which caste they belong to, and whether the main loan was, what was the main loan, whether he was a first-time borrower or a seasoned borrower. However, we could see that most of them are Hindus and general category and OBC category, and main loan was crop loan only. Approximately everybody had a crop loan, and most of them were seasoned borrowers, and these we have not taken for moderation. Okay, now the data sorting and validation using SPSS 20. First one, the mean and standard deviation. The mean was 3.53, which means slightly better, more inclined to take loans. And Cronbach alpha was 0.757, so it is in the acceptable range, not very high. And also KMO Bartlett test, KMO is 0.74, which is acceptable and more than 0.5. And Bartlett test also, it is less than 0.05, so it is accepted. Next, after this, we started doing a factor analysis as we had 26 independent variables that had to be grouped. So using SPSS software, these were grouped into 8 factors. And the names of the latent variables, what I have given here, grouping variable, that is closely linked to the factors. So that I will show in the next sheet. So the factors are advertisement banks, convenience to farmer, meeting with bankers, influence of other, recovery process of bank, loan specific benefit, cost of the loan, and rapport and service experience of farmer. So this is how it is. Advertisement has got 7 things. Convenience to farmers, for example, convenience, we had to club all these 4. Nearest bank, only bank in the village, internet banking facility provided by the bank, and mobile banking provided by the bank, because these are, as per factor analysis, these got grouped together. So this way we did all these things. And recovery process of the bank, we have recovery means here recovery is customer friendly. The recovery does from the farmer happens whenever there is a cropping season and they don't push upon him to pay regularly. That is recovery. And follow-up means advance follow-up, informing the customer in advance, that farmer in advance, that they have to make payment. So this will help the farmer to see that whenever he grows a crop, he first makes payment. So this is the recovery and follow-up things. And service has got 3 things here. One is the rapport of the farmer with the branch manager, the rapport of the farmer with the staff, and the service provided by the bank earlier. So rapport has got these 3 things. And loan specific benefits, I have higher loan amount. This is a key factor, higher loan amount given per acre of land. Especially in private banks, we find this higher loans given for a private of bank for the same acre of land, and all loans available at the same period. And meeting with farmers, I have meeting at a village, meeting at the residence of the farmer, and meeting at the bank premises. And influence, I have influence from family, influence from friends, and influence from agents. So this is how the rotated component makeup. Once this is done, then we move to structured equation modeling using PLS3 software. So the same thing we put across under Smart PLS3. And this is how it came up. The same factors what I discussed now, I have put across in this diagram. If you see the yellow design, whatever we are seeing, these are the individual factors, and the blue ones are the latent factors. And the center, if you see, that is the willingness. So this is how the structure of SM started. So now one of the requirements of SEM is that we have to test the validity. So for which the first one, confirmatory factor analysis on the model was carried out using Smart PLS3, and the model was tested for construct validity and robustness. This includes testing of convergent validity, discriminant validity, and model fit criteria. So first one is convergent validity table. See, there are 2 indicators to test whether convergent validity is right or not. One is AVE. This is an indicator which explains to what extent the exogenous variables explain the latent variable on an average. That means the individual factors to what extent they explain the latent variable. So here it says if AV is more than 0.7, it is good. And more than 0.5 is acceptable. And the second one is composite reliability index, CR. It indicates the ratio of the explained proportion of the exogenous variable to the total variables. And it is mentioned there, it says CR should be greater than 7 and CR should be greater than AV and AV should be greater than 0.5. Then data is considered to have convergent validity. So if you see here, in all cases, the AV is more than 0.5 and CR is greater than AV, and hence this is acceptable. This particular convergent validity test is passed. Next, I have discriminant validity. Discriminant validity tests whether the unrelated concept, the other constructs, can be assessed by comparing the square root of the ABE as compared to the correlation among the respective constructs. The square root of the ABE for each construct should be greater than the correlation involving the constructs. So as per the above table, all the values of square root of ABE were greater than the correlations, and discriminant validity condition also satisfied. Third one is the effect size. Effect size is a measure of the strength of the relationship between variables. So this is also known as coherence F statistics. It measures the magnitude of the statistic significance of an independent variable with the dependent variable. So it says that in this particular thing, if you see, in 3 cases, it is less than 0.05 and hence it has no effect. So, but if I further examine in all these 3 cases, the p-value is 0.15. That means the 5 factors where the significance is small and medium or acceptable, these are the significant factors. The last 3 factors where we don't find significance, actually these are not significant factors, because the p-value is less than 0.15. Hence, the significant factors have acceptable size. Next one is coefficient of difference R2 and Q2. Here, R2 value is used to evaluate the structural matter. To what extent it is a good predictor of the model. So here it says R2 values of 0.75, 0.5 or 0 in the structural model described as substantial, moderate or weak. So in this case, I find it 0.36, which is moderate. So we can find out the R value of 0.374 is moderate as per the above table, and it is considered to be a good predictor for the dependent variable. In addition, this predictive Q2 is close to the R2, 0.310 is close to the R square at 0.376, and it is an indicative of a moderate predictive value. Then you have model fit, SRMR, standardized root mean square residual. It is a measure of approximate fit of the research age model. It measures the difference between the observed correlation matrix and the model implied correlation matrix. So here it says that the SMR should be less than 0.08. It is as less, it is good, but here in my case, it is 0.079, which is below 0.80, hence acceptable. So based on all the above, we conclude that this model testing is okay, and we can go ahead with this model. Okay, so this is the path diagram which I arrived using PLS3. So these are all the factors what I obtained, which I will explain in the next further chapters. So now one by one, we'll go to hypothesis testing. The significance of the elements of the influencing model on the willingness of the farmer is tested with 0.05 p-value. If p-value is greater than 0.05, the null hypothesis is accepted, otherwise it is rejected. So if in this table, if I see advertisement, the p-value is 0.00, so it is a significant factor and it has a significant impact. Convenience, the p-value is higher than 0.05 and does not have a significant impact. Similarly, cost of loan and influence, both of them are significant. And in the next sheet, loan benefit is significant, but meeting and rapport and service and willingness are not significant because of the p-value, and recovery is significant. So if you see, out of the 8 factors, 5 factors have significant impact on willingness of the farmer with a positive relationship, and 3 factors have insignificant impact. This is the outcome of hypothesis 1. And now I'll go to hypothesis testing of hypothesis 2. So here, if you see, if you go through this figure, on the top, I have put C path. C path is the relationship before mediation between the independent variable and the dependent variable. And second one, if you see, there is something called direct path, C:path. So this is the relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable post mediation. So again, no mediation means IV-DV relationship remains same post mediation. Complete mediation means IV-DV relationship changes post mediation, and partial mediation means the indirect effect is significant post mediation. So this is how it is done. So I will show three such things in this PPT because of lack of time. So this is an example for complete mediation. This is in this the independent variable is recovery, mediating variable is loan benefits. So if you see before mediation first line, the p-value was 0.42, but post mediation C:, path, the p-value has become 0.204. That means it is more than 0.05. That means the significance has is not there now. So because of it, this is called as complete mediation. That means a person who is willing to take loan because of the benefits of recovery, if he gets a loan benefit, when there is an influence of loan benefit, he may not take the loan. So this is the meaning of complete mediation. Next, I have partial mediation. In partial mediation here, cost of loan is the independent variable, influence from others is the mediating variable. So here if you see, earlier it was 0.45 and now it is 0.02. So in both cases, there is no change in the significance because both are less than 0.05. However, the indirect impact is 0.01, which is significant. So this is why it is known as a partial mediation. And in last case, no mediation. See here, advertisement and convenience. The p-value was 0 earlier and p-value was 0 now also. And the indirect effect is more than 0.05. Hence, this is called as no mediation. So this way, when I did for the entire thing, out of the 56 mediations, I could find there were 7 complete mediations, 7 partial mediations, and 42 no mediation. This is the result of this summary. I will explain this further in the next chapter. So this is a diagram which is derived from PLSM. It shows the same thing in a diagrammatic form: relationship with complete mediation, partial mediation, and model relationship. The next one is hypothesis 3. The tables below show the impact of moderation of the demographic variables on every independent variable. So first one, age. Age is the moderator in the table. And here it shows the p-value is significant in 2 cases. That is in advertisement and recovery. So in these 2 cases, we have considered below 45 years and above 45 years for discrimination. So it says that these are 2 variables which are impacted in case of age. Similarly, if I go further, we have convenience here, type of farmer, whether it is a small farmer, a marginal farmer, or it is a large farmer. This is the grouping I have made. So here also there is an impact on convenience and reported willingness. These are 2 areas which have an impact. And third one, I have district of the farmer, where again there is an impact on 3 variations. And loan amount availed, I have an impact on 1, 2, 3, 4 variables. And type of banks, private bank and public sector banks, I have impact on 3 variables. And then RRB and cooperative bank, I have impact on 2 variables. And surprisingly, education as a moderator does not have any significant shown moderation impact. So this is one of the thing which came up with a surprise. So I also tried to find out what is the reason. The reason was 69% of the population are between literates to graduates. That means they are literates and at the same time not graduates. So most of them roughly are around 10th standard. Either they are 10th standard pass, 10th standard fail, 11th standard, 9th standard, like that. So because most of them are of that area only, probably this is the reason why they have not shown any difference. That is what I have found in education as a moderator. So this is on the data analysis part. Now I'll come to the results of this analysis. So this is a comparative ranking of the sub-factor what I have found. So influence from others. Parents and family having loan with the bank is a higher influencer among influences out of the 5 sub-factors. Compared to next is agent, and friends neighbor recommendation has not shown in much of significance. And under advertisements, if you see, even in villages, leaflets have shown higher importance. But the next things are, so SMS has come as the next main important thing, followed by hoarding, and next is media, and next is info of bank on loan facility, internet website. But emails and info on radio jungle have not shown much of significance. Cost of loan, if you see, rate of interest has remained as a very significant factor. And in loan benefits also, higher loan amount per acre of land has shown here this thing. And in the recovery process, first one is recovery, that farmer funded recovery process has shown a better hand compared to follow-up and advance. Now, the summary of mediation, what I did, you see, advertisement of bank and loan-specific benefits are two significant influencing factors. They did not have any impact of mediation. Whichever mediation is there, these have remained significant. And when it comes to influence from others, there is one partial mediation which has happened, that is through recovery. So recovery has an impact, partial impact on influence. Then recovery process of the bank, this has got two complete mediations. One is loan benefits, other one is meeting, and one partial mediation of influence. And last one, the cost of the loan also has two mediations. If you see loan benefits and rapport and service, that means a person who wants to take a loan for the interest rate can still be convinced if you give him higher loan amount, or if he has a very good rapport with the branch manager, he will still go despite of the rate of interest being lower. So this is the complete mediation on this. And partial mediation, advertisement, meeting and influence. So cost of loan, even we consider as an important factor, it can be mediated. So moderation analysis, when I see loan amount up to 3 lakhs, convenience, rapport, cost of loan, and meeting. There are 4 variables where there is an impact. And districts, there are 3 variables. Age, there are 2 variables. Type of farmer, 2 variables. Type of banks, 3 variables. Type of banks, again, 2 variables. And education, there are there's no impact on moderation. So overall summary, if I say, as per the study, 57% of the farmers have shown inclination towards taking loan as per table. Category which has shown highest inclination to avail loan is given below. Age up to 25 years have shown higher inclination. Under education, post-graduation have shown higher inclination. And out of type of farmers, marginal farmers have shown higher inclination. Loan amount up to 1 lakh, they have shown higher inclination. District, Koppal district has shown higher inclination. And type of bank, RRB has taken higher inclination. So overall, if you have to say, out of the 8 influencing factors, 5 are identified as significant to impact decision-making of the farmer. And as per mediation analysis, 10 indirect relationship impacting the significant factor are also identified as significant mediator, and 16 moderation impacts are identified on various demographic cuts. This is the overall summary. So now if I compare my findings with the existing few literature, so there is a J.C. Toth bank selection. The conclusion states that study concludes that interest cost is a major influencing factor. So here also in my study also, this is in tune with the current study. And one more study, M. Sayuti, is there, which concludes proximity of the bank, followed by reliability, responsibility, responsiveness, and value-added services. This is also similar to my study. These factors are covered. And one more, Laila Al-Maudi, product offerings, internet banking and ATM are critical factors. This product offering is there with us also, so most similar to our study. And one H.V. Kumari is there, where branch location, competitive rate of interest are key factors. These are also similar to the study. And one H. Begum is there, where customer service and trustworthiness staff is an important factor, but this is not a significant in our study. When we understand this, I have put further explanation on this. This is not as significant. Customer service has not come out as a significant in my particular study in this area. Then GeoTeam WM bank selection decision was based on my testing. Here also again, all the factors other than service are in tune with the study. So this is my comparison with the existing literature. So the implication, first one is a theoretical implication. See, this research is a continuation in addition to various studies on the consumer decision-making process. And this focus specifically on the lending activity of the bank, specific to lending in agriculture. Hence, this study has gone in depth in one segment in lending in banking. And this study has analyzed the impact of various demographical factors on the decision-making of the farmer as setting a bank, and also the indirect impact of one factor over the other, which should be another addition to literature. And this is a specialized study on the customer choice under the farmer segment on bank loans, shall be a reference material for further studies. So this is the theoretical implication. So when I come to practical implications, first, let me come to the bankers. See, first thing is this study has identified the significant factors which impact the decision-making of a farmer in 2 districts of Karnataka. So this study will serve as a benchmark to the banker to consider giving higher weightage to these factors. So while they develop the strategy on agriculture lending, because this identified the fact. Next one, basing on this study, banks need to make a similar survey with larger population and a different demography as well. And as banks have higher capacity, they have to use advanced data analytics and artificial intelligence techniques. Better models for marketing can be developed, keeping this theory as a basic. And third one, this study has also given the relative ranking of various channels of the bank for promoting the agri loan business in the given population. Bank can plan to choose the more appropriate one suited for a population based on similar study. Which channel in the sense, I say whether advertisement, which is the advertisement channel they can use, whether agency model has to be adopted like that, or bank staff has to be adopted. That. Next, the study has analyzed the relative importance of external factors which influence the farmer, like geographical factor, external agencies, influencers, and personal requirements of the farmers like higher loan amount, etc. So again, an in-depth study on these factors will help the bankers to deploy the appropriate plan in that particular area with that particular segment of farmers. So this is implication to bankers. And there are some implications to farmers also. Going through this research gives an idea to the farmer on the various benefits available to them with the banks and their significance. Today, the farmers are in an advantageous position to reap the benefits provided by the banks. They need to be aware of the competitive products by gaining information through participation in village meetings conducted by banks, various advertisement channels, and visiting the bank for additional information. And the farmer need to be watchful before considering the advices of extraneous channels and friends who may not always give proper advice to his benefit, whether this study can make an impact in getting right information. And last one, there are farmer clubs and many other information dissemination groups which can go through this research and understand the benefits and share with the farmers. So next, see, while this study, as I already explained, in addition to literature and benefit to the banker, there are few specific points derived out of this particular study, which is a research contribution. So I have listed few of them here. See, what has come out of this study is, one is advertisement. Advertisement has emerged as a significant factor even in the rural areas. If you see, there was no mediation impact from other factors on advertisement. Also, among advertisement, while the traditional leaflet and holdings village remain significant, advertisement through SMS message and bank website also have gained importance in rural areas. This is through the penetration of mobiles and availability of internet in the villages as well. So this is a finding. And second one, loan benefits. See, under loan benefits, availability of higher loan per acre of land is another significant factor in the population. Even this is not mediated by any other variable. This is where the new generation banks get an upper hand in doing business as compared to traditional banks. And this is the strength of coming out with the new products to the farmers also. Next one is influence from others. See, under influence from others, influence family still holds good as a significant factor to take loan with the bank. This follows the influence from agents. Then cost of loan. See, cost of loan, rate of interest is a significant factor among farmers. However, based on mediation analysis, find that it is mediated by loan benefits, that is higher loan amount, and rapport with branch management services. So farmers are willing to let go rate of interest if they get higher loans or with the rapport with the branch manager. Next is the recovery process. See, recovery process of the bank being farmer friendly has remained a significant factor in the farmer to avail loan with the bank. Also, advanced follow-up and mechanisms are appreciated by farmers. And last one, there are some non-significant factors. If you see, the factors which are not considered significant in this study are meetings conducted by the bank, rapport with the branch team and service, and convenience provided by the bank. So this can be specific for this area that I got the result, but this is an eye-opener for the banks that why these are not considered, maybe these are not effective in these areas. So this is an eye-opener for the banks in the areas to improve on these aspects on customer satisfaction. These are some points of research contribution. So the limitations of this study, first is I have studied only agriculture loans. This does not consider the factors influencing the value take any other type of loans like personal loan, home loan, car loan, etc. And I have considered only banks, I have not considered any financial institutions. And data collection accuracy, this data collection was done using questionnaire method personally administered to the farmer. Utmost care is taken in updating accurate data, but there could be minor difference in understanding the questionnaire by the farmers because the education age of the respondent. So these are the limitations to the study. And suggestions for future research. See, first one, this study has included the farmers in 2 districts of Karnataka only. Hence, a study in other geographies where there can be additional influencing factors or demographic variables and comparison of the results of the study with the present study will yield valuable insights. And here, in-depth study of the influence factor can be conducted for a particular type of bank only. Here, when we started with all types of bank. But as I progress, I find that there is a scope to conduct it in a particular type of bank, which have a different management practices. And third one, this study is focused on the factors influencing the farmer agri loan, from the bank, study can be conducted for other type of loans also in the semi-urban rural areas like home loans or a business loan. And the last one is, see, this survey was done pre-COVID, and hence post that there are many developments which happened in the economy, including rollout of the new agriculture policy, more digitization of land records and online mortgages, deep penetration of mobile banking and UPI, etc., which have impact on the influencing factor. So there is a scope for analysis on the same subject, keeping in view the developments in the changing environment. These are my suggestions for future research. So that's it. The research journey in conclusion. The journey started with the ICFA University has been exciting, challenging, and novel experience for me, taking time out from office work, family responsibilities for the last 6 years, which gave me abundance learning about research tools. Initially, when I was doing this study, I had very little knowledge on literature and very little knowledge on research tools. Now I have understood most of these things through this thing. And I am very much thankful to the university for providing me this opportunity, because this learning has come a long way, but the learning has been very knowledgeable thing. And during the course of the study, there were constraints in getting responses from the farmers due to local issues in the state on account of farm loan waiver announced by Karnataka during 2018, and the banks asking for data from the farmers to a loan waiver requirement. So the farmers were initially reluctant to answer the survey question during this period, and data collection activity planned during 2018 had to be postponed to 2019 when the loan waiver work was completed by the banks. So we have made sincere efforts to interact with farmers and get their choices noted in the questionnaire, which have resulted in getting proper answers. This study in the field would be fruitful for further research work, as mentioned above. And my acknowledgements to ICFA Jharkhand, and I thank our Honorable VC Sir, Professor O.R.S. Rao, for his continued unstinted support during my journey. I am thankful to Dr. B.M. Singh for his support during the start of my studies, and my sincere gratitude to Dr. Gautam Tanti, who helped me, who was my supervisor for last 1 year, and he helped me in concluding this. And also Dr. Vishal Kumar, who was there earlier when I started my journey. And my research co-supervisor, Dr. Sorika Lohana, she is a postdoctoral fellow and in SBI Hyderabad. She has mentored me since beginning. For the last 6 years, she has mentored me. I'm very, very grateful to her. Also, I thank Dr. Hariharan and Dr. Satyendra Kishore, who have contributed in enabling the quality research continuously once in 6 months through their guidance and suggestions. And Dr. Ramna Bhattacharya has been coordinating me for the last 6 years, and I thank very much. Because of her, I could get a lot of things clarified. And Dr. Rajkumar has guided me last 1 year in finalizing the structure. I thank Dr. Rajkumar very much. Also, my thanks to Dr. Bhagwat Barik, Dr. Susan Charai, Dr. Sudipta, and Dr. Pallavi Kumari, and the entire research support team for the encouragement and regularly monitoring progress in my research. So paper publications, I have 2 papers which I have published. One is impact of advertisement on farmer decision, and the other one is digitalization of mortgage creation process on agri lending. And I have attended one conference in IUJ Ranchi itself, pre-COVID. So thank you, sir. This is about my presentation.
So thank you very much for your excellent presentation. So over to Dr. Samantha for his evaluation.
First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Shetty for this nice and exhaustive presentation. And he has done a commendable work also on this area. There are a couple of questions even I had mentioned in my report also that I may ask, but he has answered some of them, like the banker's perception, even digitalization effects. He has already answered that post-pre-COVID scenario, this data were collected, and post-COVID. Anything that, because one of your points towards the end, you said 57% you could find that they are interested to take loans. And very interesting is the age group is up to 25 years. That means they are all young entrepreneurs or agriculture, or who wants to make their career kind of thing in agriculture. Maybe may not be interested for all their traditional farming, maybe for organic farming kind of thing. Could you find something like what were their motivation for going for these loans for this traditional kind of thing? Because this age group is very important here. 1 to up to 25 years. And what you said, this digitalization, getting SMS message or these advertisements or getting all the updates accordingly and getting all the information from the bank and availing all the benefits, whatever from time to time, either bank, government or banks, they're offering from time to time. Could you make out something like what is their motivation for availing such loans from these banks? And my second question to this is, any difference between their behavioral aspects of like availing a loan from a public sector bank and a private sector bank? Because it is there always in the minds of the people that maybe whether it is, but this loan is related to agricultural loan. That's why I think you can answer to this.
Yes, sir. I myself personally have met a lot of such people, sir. One thing is, the private banks are in this business for last around 12 to 13 years. So initially, there was an apprehension to take loans from these banks. But during the last 12, 13 years, the things have changed a lot. Now, I was surprised. For my surprise itself, I could find youngsters opening their mobile and showing me their account in the mobile. And they were telling, I'm very happy with ICICI Bank. See, now I can easily open up my mobile and I can transact. And they were doing this transaction, surprising the KCC account. Bank has allowed that also. So they were doing transaction in the KCC account using mobile. And he was showing me that, see, I got a SMS right now, like that. So the digitization impact, especially on these farmers, is really good. And especially the 25-year-old generation, or somewhere not even 25 to 40, I can say. These people, all of them are very much enthusiastic on this to take loans. And as you rightly pointed out, it is mainly with private banks, but even SBI also this facility is there, even though it is not as good as what we have in Axis Bank or ICICI Bank. SBI has also moved a long way now. They are not behind, but not as efficient as the private sector bank, but I'm sure they will catch up shortly.
The scenario was different 10, 15 years before in SLBC meetings, state level industry. There's bankers committee meetings. They're usually the state's chief secretary or finance secretary or agriculture secretary used to tell these bankers that why you are not lending loans to the farmers and all these things. They were not able to meet their targets, and private banks were way behind at that point of time. I think this scenario has changed now. What you are saying, the scenario has changed.
Yes,
that
sir.
not only to meet their 18% target. I think when they are expanding with the expansion of the economy and their capital circulation, this is another aspect of to stay there in the competition along with the public sector banks, and the perception of private sector banks not entering into the village rural areas. I think that has gone now. That is a thing of past. And these private sector banks also are making a foray into that, and they are as equal, even competitive as the public sector counterparts also.
Yes.
These influencing factors you have taken all from your literature survey, and I think you have already mentioned somewhere with the change of demography, maybe when it is being implemented in other part of the country, that may change. Either the sequence may change or some of the factors also may change. So when this kind of study is being implemented, or this kind of study can be considered for application a pan-India basis, maybe it requires more study, or more districts needs to be considered, or more banks needs to be considered, as well as the bank penetration of banking networks also is another important aspect. I think you have mentioned there 7 banks you have taken in your study. So penetration of banks in that area, or the access to the banks, because earlier it was like the farmers were not ready to give up their half day or 1 day of their thing to not going to the farm and visiting the bank. That was one of a kind of a distraction for them, or why to lose that 1 day and going to bank. And they were more dependent on the money lenders, village money lenders. So I think they have now understood all these aspects, and this is a change in that. In that banker's perspective, what is the banker's perspective perception on these farm loans. These are all you have discussed about the farmers' farmers' point of view. But what about the bankers? Are they really interested, or are they really moving into this? Because some time back, even due to this various state governments, they announced various loan waiver schemes. So banks were very much averse to that, like giving loans to these farmers, and sometimes they were giving loans in the name of, or they will be saying that we have achieved the target of 18%, but the loan might not have been disbursed to the needy farmers. It might have been given to the maybe the major farmers or the farmers who may not require loans, but might have been given to them just to see that it is not becoming an NPA kind of thing. So anything that you could observe the banker's perception?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There are two things to this. First one is, see, with the increase in inflation and the population also, these loans are going on increasing on day-to-day basis. There is no way that, because the prices are increasing and this KCC and other loans, the volume of this loan go on increasing. So there is no way that this will reduce. So this will increase. So one side, the bankers also today, there's a huge competition. As I told, there's a competition from private sector and public sector. Private sector banks, as you earlier pointed out, they have moved to a higher level, but still nobody has reached that 18% mark when HDFC has not reached. As such, still they are fighting on that. So the competition is there. At branch level, there are a lot of targets given to the branches to achieve this target, achieve the numbers. And also there are a lot of branches which are coming up in rural areas, and these rural area branches have to do that business only to make that particular branch profitable. So from private sector branch side, if you see, there is a huge push on doing additional agribusiness because they are still not able to reach the 18% target. But when it comes to public sector bank at the same time, if you see, no public sector bank is ready to let go any business like that. Only they are ready, they may be ready to let go some totally NPA customers, which the other banks will not take. But otherwise, they also want to do their business. Branches are not ready to give up any agri-business as such. This is very difficult. Even when we give some loans to these banks, the other bank will offer something counter offer and retain the customer. So that is happening. Even agri-business, if you see in a rural area for a branch manager, that is still a business for him. So that challenge as of now is not there that anybody will give up the business. The bankers are still interested in doing business. And they are adapting all these strategies. Given the regional rural banks, as such, if you see, the regional rural banks have consolidated, but still their targets are there. Their targets are there to do good business. They are, at the same time, when you told loan waiver is there, during loan waiver, these banks are actually benefited because the money comes from the government. Whatever the NPS are there during loan period, banks will get that money. So if you see last 2 loan waivers, whatever happened some time back in Hyderabad, Karnataka, Maharashtra and all, there are a lot of NPS which got written off, which made the bank books better. If all the banks, if you see, are stocks are traded in the share market, so profitability of a bank is very important. So if they have to increase the profitability, then they have to increase the business, overall business. So if they have to increase the overall business, then definitely they have to increase the agri book. So this is an ongoing process. This will not stop.
In one table in research literature review chapter, I found that you have made some classifications like research papers, working paper, research reports. All there, I could not make out any difference between a research paper and a journal article. Any research paper can be published in a journal article, or can be a journal paper, or journal article is a research paper.
I removed that, sir. That was some erroneous classification somewhere else. Someone included, so I removed it.
So that I could not make out like what is the difference between those two. This is my last question. How many total factors that you could gather, and out of which these 8 you could find out? This PLS 3 that you have used, SEM, structural equation modeling. Total 26 factors.
Total 26 factors. I have shown that in the diagram. Totally, there are 26 factors which I have taken it up here. Is there in this factor analysis sheet also?
So what is your personal opinion about, because you have done such exhaustive study on this, due to digitalization, this will be more beneficial for the farmers in future? It will be like, yeah.
See, now digitization has gone to a very high level post-COVID, sir. Even now, the inspection of the farmer's village is happening through geotag. So there is no requirement of the visiting the farmer. Earlier, bankers used to visit the farmer and find out whether he's going the crop or not. Now there are a lot of agencies who have come, though through satellite, they take a photo and give it to us telling that this is the land of this person, this is the crop going. So if you see in many areas, especially in sugarcane growing areas and all, they take out the photographs and this will be served even to the sugar mill also and to the bank also. Once that is there, the sugar mills will immediately inform them to go and cut the sugarcane. So the digitization has gone in that level also. And in banking also, if you see loan appraisal, giving loans are very faster.
Yes, process has become very faster. It is in every sector. It is happening in every sector. Thank you, Mr. Shetty, for making such a for your research, exhaustive research, and making such an exhaustive presentation today. This will definitely help not only the researchers, also it will help, and it may help also other stakeholders, whoever are related to this sector or to these areas. Even the future researchers also, it will definitely help. And as you have also already mentioned that the future scope of the study, this type of study can be undertaken in other parts of the country, so that a pan-India kind of policy also can be made, or it will be helpful in that direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. P.K. Samanta, for his exhaustive evaluation. So now the floor is open to the others. Dr. Sudhi Chettopadhyay, Dr. Hariharan, Dr. Kishore.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Govardhan, for excellent work and this thing. And thanks, Professor Samanta and others for giving their valuable comments. So I have nothing to add more. Only I am having one or two queries, Mr. Govardhan, if I have understood properly. In your conceptual framework, the diagram, whatever you have prepared, I see that you start. Can you come to that diagram where you have shown the independent variable, then your dependent variable, and your moderating variable, something like that?
Yes, sir.
The diagram, whatever you have prepared.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Actually, conventionally, we see that in this type of flow starts from your independent variables at the extreme left, then it goes, and at the extreme right, we get the dependent variable and this thing. This is the normally conventionally we see. Here we are seeing the reverse. Is there any specific?
No, sir. This is presentation setup, sir. That's all. Nothing else. Okay. This PPT, I could get only this format. I couldn't get the reverse one.
Okay. No, actually, I thought that because normally what happens, you start from your independent, then you are proceeding with your moderating variables and all those things. Then ultimately, you are trying to find out what is the relationship. Because
nothing like that. Nothing like that, sir. This is something called smart art in PPT.
Okay, fine. That means it is just a presentation. There is no significance of this one.
No.
And you are a veteran banker, so what question I am asking to you? Only you just see from this presentation and your research finding, we could see that the factors which are prominent for your agriculture loan and all those things, selecting the bank, most of the factors are common for other type of loan also.
Yes.
Isn't it? That means when the people go to the bank for selecting the bank, for taking the loan for other purposes, many factors they consider which are having overlapping with this one, with the factors what you have found out. So can you just briefly tell that any specific factor which is very much relevant for your agricultural loan? I mean, the agricultural people, farmers, they consider these the most important factor. But where the other consumers for other type of loan, for your car loan or house loan. They don't consider it is very much important factor.
Sir, there, if I see the significant factors here in my study.
Especially, I'm telling you, very much unique for your agricultural loan. The factors which is very much unique for your agricultural loan compared to other type of loan.
Sir. See, out of the factors, advertisement, loan benefits. In loan benefits, this higher loan amount is one factor where this may not be applicable for other types of businesses, where normally all the banks follow something called scale of finance and they lend a standard amount. For example, if somebody is going paddy in a particular area and he has got 1 acre of land, he will get a loan of 50,000 rupees. That is one thing. But there are some banks who at the same time provide him more loan by new products. So this is one thing which I can see in agri area, especially some locations like Punjab or somewhere in Andhra Pradesh. There are some different products which they have made. For same land, they can give 2 acres or instead of 50,000, they can give 1 lakh because the land value is higher there. So they make some mortgage and higher loans they give. And these are some unique products given by some banks. You don't find it in all the banks. ICICI, Axis Bank, HDFC, or somewhere in State Bank they give. If you go to normal banks, you don't get this. So that is one unique feature in this. As far as loan benefits
or something like that. You mean to say some sort of scale of financing or something like that, which is very much applicable for agricultural loan, but not for the other type of loan. So this is one of the important factors what you see, which is unique in nature. Okay.
Yes, sir. And then, one more is recovery process, sir. This recovery process also, what for my surprise itself, I could find out that people are more inclined to some recovery which happens, which is friendly to them. That means they want the loans to be repaid whenever there is a crop season. Many times it happens, many banks put pressure that they have to pay on a regular basis, even crop is not there like that. So we have found that wherever this thing is good, the repayment process is like that they ask them whenever there is a crop. That is one thing which they have appreciated. And second thing, surprisingly, what the people appreciated means they told that this bank correctly follows up with me. Whenever I grow the crop, somehow they will come to know and they will come and call me and tell me, pay the loan. So there is an advanced follow-up mechanism. These are two things which people have identified as beneficial for them to take a loan with that bank, which may not be the case with some other loan like home loan or business loan. So these are two factors which I can say.
You can say. And though you have considered mostly your research work to find out what are the factors for selecting a bank for taking the loan. But while you doing the research work or your personal experience, can you find out some factors which are totally going against taking a loan from a particular bank? I'm telling you the other way around, the reverse one. Any factors what the agricultural, the farmers, they find that this is the factor which is prohibiting me to take loan from a particular bank. That other factor way I'm telling you. Could you find out anything like that?
As for this research, I did not find anything specifically as to which could be the factor which will prevent me from taking a loan. Maybe the contour of recovery only, the recovery efforts wherever they are asking them to make payment on a regular basis, irrespective of the fact that the proceeds come only once in a period. That is one area where they don't like some banks. They are specifically in few cases I found, these banks ask them to make repayment once in 6 months or once in 3 months and continuously follow up with the farmers to make payment. So we found that I don't want to take loan with the bank because I don't have income now. The income comes only when my crop is there. But this guy comes and sits in once in 3 months or 6 months and asks me pay the loan, pay interest, and also I don't want to take loan with the bank. This is one thing.
Actually, my query was because if we can find out this type of some factors which are prohibiting them, then bankers can take some corrective measure. So that can be their strategy for your marketing. Anyway, and my last query, though you have already explained that out of 5 or 6 studies which were you have quoted, and most of the scenario, your results are similar with them, barring 1 or 2. Okay. Where your results are contradictory or something like that with your previous findings that you have shown in one table. So have you explored that why there is a difference between your findings and their findings?
Yes, sir. I have found out that, sir. See, that's what I put the research contribution. I put one thing here. The factors which are not considered significant, one of the main factors is services and rapport with the branch team. This is one, in this particular area, this is one area which was not considered as a significant factor, which was considered a significant factor in many other studies. There could be two reasons for this. One reason is maybe this area, this service levels will be bad. But what I found is in my factor, what I've taken together, repo and service, it is a single factor. Based on factor analysis, I have derived it. It has got three components. One is service, other one is repo with the branch manager, and other one is repo with the staff. So I could find service level is okay still. But this repo with the branch manager and repo with the staff, these, because I have taken together, it has shown what is it? Shown itself as non-significant. But in other cases, they have taken only service levels of the bank. So that is the reason why it is.
Maybe you are combining these two.
Yeah, I have combined these three together.
Okay.
That is the reason.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Govardhan, for excellent presentation. Wishing you all the best. Very good job done by you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So, Dr. Hariharan sir.
Good evening, Mr. Govardhan.
Good evening, sir.
And I must thank our examiner also, Dr. P.K. Samanta, for very valid questions and very keen observation on your thesis and the work which you have carried out. So naturally, any research you carry out, a lot of doubts and questions will be there. But anyway, you have defended it well. I could see it. And I have seen your progress. And I think you're quite consistent right from the beginning itself. Of course, he said that is 6 years. Normally, we discount 2 years because of the pandemic. Okay. It is considered as if you completed your research work in 4 years. So it's a credible job. I mean, what we have done is a very good job. And I think the quality of research is also very good. Let me tell you, I'm highly impressed with the kind of analysis and data analysis and all those things which you have given on and your findings and finally your conclusion and as well as limitations also. Is a very good work which you have done it. And of course, I was also for some time when you shown that diagram, the conceptual model which Professor Subir Chattopadhyay also asked that why it is from right to left. It just reminded me one anecdote that one ad of surf is when it was given in India and was given in some Gulf countries, then its impact was very negative. I mean, because their tendency is to, because they used to put dirty cloth from the left side and the right side you'll find the clean cloth. Okay, and whereas when they're reading in Arabic and Urdu, they used to read from the right side. So they found it's a very clean cloth and then it became dirty cloth and sales came down. Okay, so sometimes, I mean, but normally the convention is that you take on the left side the independent variable, right side the dependent variable. So that is the normally my question. Of course, I will not raise many questions. One thing is that, say there are certain factors which are there for the agriculturalist as well as for the common person like you and me from the urban area. So if you are going to distinguish these factors, which one will be more prominent in case of urban people?
These factors in urban areas. So urban areas, if you see, out of these 5 factors, the key factors will be one is advertisement and other one will be cost of loan. Okay. Or even advertisement only. The main one would be advertisement. Because urban factors today, advertisements are highly personalized advertisement we get. So if I open my mobile and if I click something, immediately I will get 10 things from Amazon telling that you buy this like that. So advertisement has gone to a level of, through artificial intelligence, it has gone to personalized advertisements now. So for urban area, advertisement is the main thing.
Okay, but what about in your findings over here? Suppose if I remove the title agriculture in your thesis, will it do same for any?
If I remove the what, sir?
Right, in the title of your thesis, if I remove this agricultural loan, any loan, yes. So will it the same? It will be.
No, sir. The some factors which I discussed with Dr. Subir, those factors may have a different impact, sir. Recovery or something like a loan specific benefit for a farmer. These are the 2 areas, those factors which may not come up in urban area.
Okay. Anyway, it is very good work. Let me tell you, I am highly impressed with the work which you have done it, because I have seen your sincerity also right from the beginning itself.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and you see all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hariharan sir. Dr. Kishore sir.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
Very nice presentation and very good. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir. You're audible.
So essentially, when we look into so many factors which we have, eight factors, I think, influencing the farmers to take loans. So in that, as very rightly pointed out by the external examiner, Professor Samanta, the digitization part. And if you look into it, then we may summarize, I think, most of the factors into one, because there is digital marketing also, advertising also. And you also yourself said that I am also a customer of ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, and Kotak Mahindra Bank. But I find the best platform is being offered by ICICI Bank. So, and so many features are also there, very much convenient. So all the requirements of advertisement these days are being fulfilled by through digital medium. Yes. So maybe that for future you can summarize or look into this way that the role of digitization in expanding the agricultural banking sector or things of that sort.
Yes, sir.
And one very pertinent question was asked by Professor Sudhir Chattopadhyay, that conversely, if you think that what are the factors which are prohibiting it. So since you are in Karnataka, you may not have faced such a thing. I know I have personal knowledge, and it is also in very much public domain, that in places like certain districts of Bihar, where it is Naxal infected and all. So there, I mean, people, there are farmers who will come and they will at gunpoint, they will want a loan, you see. So, I mean, that way banking cannot be done. So therefore, then another hypothesis could be, is there a correlation between the law and order situation of a particular state or district vis-a-vis the dispersal of loan. So that is something which you can further look into, because as I see the state of Punjab and Sindh Bank, which is very much concentrated in Punjab and those areas. So the default is more because of that kind of over dominance of the farmers, on the bankers.
Okay.
So I mean, you can take it that way also. I mean, just reflection, because you are a banker and maybe
yes,
wanting to pursue it further and enrich the study. And
okay, point noted, sir.
Yeah. And then the third point is the loan repayment part also. So there could be so many reasons, factors for that, and I need not repeat. I have already shared.
You have told me earlier. I have to make a separate study for that on the loan repayment.
Yeah. So thank you very much. It is excellent work done. You have been so consistent throughout, and you have been listening to all of us, and most of the suggestions are also incorporated. I thank you very much, and also your examiner, Professor Samanta. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kishore, sir. Sir, any other, sir, our faculty members or the PhD scholars. I see a lot of PhD scholars also participating. Any comments, any queries, anything from anybody else? No. Okay. So, Dr. Susan, you want to ask something? I'll make some comments here.
Sir, nothing more from my side.
Okay.
Congratulations to the scholar and the supervisor. And it was a long journey, but he had patience. And of course, I have seen his work and one or two suggestions I have given. And that is, the discussion is going on with regard to the title. I had one apprehension and I had expressed it in one or two platforms. I think he is working on it, that with the consultation with the supervisor. Otherwise, the work was very exhaustive, good analysis, and there is enough scope to get one or two good publications that you have to bring it out, either ABDC or good Scopus indexed.
Wow.
Congratulations once again, Dr. Govardhan, of course. I take the liberty to call you Dr. Govardhan. Okay, go ahead. Okay, bye.
Thanks a lot. No, Dr. Barik, any comments or something from you, sir?
Congratulations, Govardhanji.
Thank you, sir.
Good work, and you have given the right input at the right time. And as we have gone through the thesis, as you presented yesterday, you had a good presentations and analysis also. So look for good publications. And once again, congratulations. All the best for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Great. Sir, any comments from his supervisor, Dr. Gautam Kante? Because
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm very much thankful to all of you present over here, the dignitaries, the examiners, and our mentors. No doubt Govardhan ji has done a very extensive work in that. While you have made all these things like the satisfaction when you do something and it is come out in a nice manner, the credit goes to the mentors, those who have given the path and the directions time to time. So after the submission of the thesis, we got the feedback from the examiners, which was very relevant. And initially, maybe we hide all these things, but it was now we have incorporated. And no doubt, Govardhan ji is a very he given his hard work, and for that reason we come out with a very nice thesis. And definitely, ma'am, as you suggested, this is a very quality research, and we will go for this ABDC publications definitely. So I need all your blessings and support like this in our future also. So thank you so much to everyone.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, any views, comments? Yeah, Dr. Runnaji, yes, important. Yeah.
First of all, with permission of Dr. Samantha, I will congratulate Dr. Govardhan. Really, yesterday I was a little bit panicked when he had the demo session. But today he did fantastically. He incorporated all the changes, and really his hard work shows the output. So on behalf of everyone, I thank Dr. Samantha, and I thank PC sir and Hariharan sir, Subir sir, and Satyendra sir, all my faculty members, and my dear scholars, those who have joined for their presence in the live office. And we look forward for more nice paper from Mr. Govardhan.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Good.
Thank you, madam.
Any other faculty members? Yes.
Like
Dr. Sarika, in fact, I was looking forward to you, madam. Yes, madam.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
Is
Very
it possible?
good evening, one and all.
No, Dr. Sarika, is it possible to switch on your video for a few seconds? Okay. You want to acknowledge your contribution? No? Yes.
Yes, sir. And thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity. And actually, since the initial stage of Mr. Shetty and with him in the journey of this thesis, like from scratch, selecting the title and all. We used to sit and we used to discuss a lot on this. And now I think the day came that all the efforts which he has taken, he got the result of it. And no doubt, without support of the university, it was not possible. So entire team of the university, I really am thankful to all the team members, especially the dean of the institute and even the co-supervisor. And definitely, sir, we'll turn to the good quality research publication. I will also take efforts to get this thesis published in the reputed journals. And looking forward, I have just a request to you, sir. If in future, if I can get more such what we can say opportunity to be a co-supervisor for any of these future candidates, I would really be love to associate with the university, sir. This is my request. I request you to please consider this. This is from my
side. So much. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarika Lohana. We really appreciate your contribution and also. Yeah, so that's great. Definitely, I think your request we'll keep in mind. Yeah. So any other comments from any other scholars? Yeah. So I'm sorry, Dr. Sarika, madam, you want to say something more? Yeah. Okay.
So it's done from my end, but I congratulate Dr. Shetty now.
Yeah.
Only we can say Dr. Shetty for this achievement, and thank you all for support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wonderful. In fact, So, any other comments anywhere else? Any others? Okay. Yeah, if nothing is there, it's my turn. It's a congratulations. It's a great job done. You worked really hard. You earned it. It hasn't.
Thank you, sir.
You've gone through the rough and tough. There were times, when we had apprehensions, as to how you could do the data collection. If you remember, those days we discussed a lot. I think we have handled that very nicely. So while I congratulate you, particularly, I think your analysis is superb, because collection of the data, and most of the people, they limit themselves to the SPSS and a descriptive statistics. Sort of gone into the SCM and we have done a very nice analysis. I think that's something it's very, very impressive for you. So from my side, one query from my side is, typically if you look at the kind of agricultural loans, for times immemorial, even before the public sector banks have gone to the villages, there were the cooperative banks.
Yes.
In the initial days, even when the public sector banks went also, the kind of, the resistance of the competition they faced there was not from the private, but on one hand, unorganized lenders that are the kind of money lenders there. The second was the cooperative banks. Considering that, sort of Karnataka is one of the hubs for the cooperative banks, just like Maharashtra and Karnataka, they stand out among the cooperative banks are concerned. So, and the cooperative banks, the kind of, when you mentioned about, the interest rate, the private banks, are you able to match the interest rate offered by the cooperative bank?
Sir, as far as cooperative banks are concerned, they are giving low rates of interest. Even sometimes they get 1% interest and 3% rate of interest in Karnataka. So there is no way that...
if such is the case, then my query to you is, I agree with you, that's 1%. And also there, typically the cooperative banks, their strength has been, relationship marketing. In one of your factors has been the rapport.
Yes.
Because they are next to them. And they typically, what happens is, most of these kind of, the rural people, they are members because they're part and parcel of the cooperative bank, isn't it? They are the owners of that. So that was the reason for that. So a query from my side is, while you talked about the factors, was it possible to map these factors into the types of banks? I saw that, you have done that, you are sampling, you looked at, the private banks, and then you said, public sector banks, then you said district cooperative or regional cooperative banks and the cooperative banks. So there, like I'm not talking of something like, moderating effect, but, what was your analysis? Maybe I think I missed that point.
Yeah.
Maybe you must have given it in your thesis or in the presentation. What
Yes.
I couldn't make out is, after all this, considering that there are something like 4 types of, banks that are operating, and what's the preference of these people towards a particular bank?
Okay.
Maybe you have given it. If I missed it,
Yes, yes.
I just want to get a clarity, while you have given, let's say, some 7 parameters or factors, and you have done a lot of analysis, significant, not significant, something like ranking, all that is wonderful. But when you map it with the types of banks, what was the kind of, conclusion that you got?
Okay, sir. Sir, I remember, I think 3 years back, once you had told me to do a specific study on these cooperative banks. So that before that, I had not done this.
Leave aside what all I want to know is, as such, maybe I think we are not looking at specifically cooperative banks, considering that you have taken a fairly good sample size. You have taken a sample size of 400 plus, and you have gone into 2 districts, and understanding those districts, cooperative banks are also strong. A little bit of Karnataka, whatever I know, isn't it? So if such is the case, like in this, wherever you have done this study, which are the banks, which are sort of a preferred? Is it more of cooperative banks? Is it private banks? That kind of a thing, have you got any conclusion, or did you do any analysis on that?
Sir, that analysis, I think right now I'm not included in this presentation, sir. It is available in my thesis.
That's important, no? That's, if such is the case, what is your this thing? I think for the benefit of all of our people, like in fact, that kind of a categorization wise, sort of, how does that map out to say that, as far as your, sample is concerned, how many of them prefer what type of bank?
I think, sir, there is no specific thing right now available with me, but that data analysis is there, sir. But we have not come to any conclusion there as to whether the bankers are preferring nationalized bank or that category wise. I have not.
Why is
I will
that?
add it across. It is there in my thesis.
I'm just trying to understand. I think when you collected the data, you found out from them, which banker they are dealing with.
Yes.
And you also have collected the data as to what are the factors. If such is the case, my kind of, my mind says that is a very complex analysis.
No, sir, that analysis is already there, sir. Right now, I have not put across in the presentation, but that analysis is already there. As to the type of banks which they have preferred, that analysis is already there. I will.
The reason why I'm asking you, the reason why I'm asking that question is, see, it has got a very good kind of input as far as the researchers are concerned, academic world is concerned.
I understand.
But if this has to be translated to the various, players, market players, who are lending. So there, what is the kind of, competitive input or message you are giving? Because for, are you saying that, yes, now the cooperative banks, they are not a major player there? Is there, are you saying that just as you are saying in the last 15 years, you made a nice statement that, in the last 15 years, private banks, are able to kind of position themselves and compete with, the public sector banks. But, as for the cooperative banks are concerned, who have got a major market share. Yes. What is your view on that? Today, in fact, you asked me, like, in fact, do we have, any picture of, what is the market share of these 4 types of banks, in these districts? Do you have any data on that?
Yes, sir. Sir, what has happened is I have that in my thesis, sir. I have not right now in this.
See, as an expert, at least, forget about the thesis. You are an expert banker. As a banker, at least, maybe you should tell us what is the market share.
So market share, I have already explained in this thesis also. Around 50, based on which I have taken up this also. Around 55% of the thing is with public sector bank. Around 20% is with the private sector, regional rural banks. And around 7% is with the private sector banks, and around 3% is with the cooperative bank. The reason is, in Karnataka, what has happened is that these cooperative banks are, as compared to some other states, is different. But the area where I have done the study, they are considering this cooperative bank as a secondary bank. Because these cooperative banks are not lending in higher volume. They are lending maximum 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees only. And the rate of interest is also 0%. I did and went and did a specific study on the Chhattisgarh Gramina Bank, and I collected data also. So as per that, it says that they are not lending higher amount at all. They are maximum if they lend up to 3 lakh.
Okay. No,
So because of
anyway,
that,
I think you may kind of look into that. See, considering the loan requirements from them, is not into big amounts because the land holdings are not very big. So this being the case, what is the size of, the loans that they are looking at per season? A farmer, a typical farmer in these two districts, what is the average size of loan that they are looking for?
Around 3 lakh rupees only, 3 to 4 lakh rupees. Of that, what they're doing is 1 lakh rupees they take from the cooperative bank, because up to 1 lakh rupees, they don't ask them to mortgage the land. They do it basing on the customer's promissory note. So they come to the other banks, and the balance amount they take from the other banks, and it is an accepted practice in many banks.
That means that the farmers are taking loans from multiple sources.
Yes, and it is accepted also, sir. What we do is we assess their limit, and if the assets limit, for example, somebody gets 5 lakh rupees, and if he has 1 lakh rupees from cooperative bank, I reduce 1 lakh rupees, and 4 lakh rupees we give him, and we mortgage his property. And we also know that even in some cases, there will be some charge on the property. So then what we do is we consider that also. Now, for example, his property is worth 10 lakh rupees. I will give him 1 lakh rupees. I will consider for that cooperative bank. Only on the balance, I will give him loan in other banks.
Oh, okay, and in respect of that, it's a great, work that was done by you, a great analysis and an excellent presentation. Our hearty congratulations to you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Really earned it, Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Anyway, congrats, Mr. Govardhan. Very soon will be Dr. Govardhan.
Yeah.
And we thank Dr. Tati and Dr. Lona also for guiding you.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So, our congratulations to both of them as well, to Dr. Gautam Tanti and also Dr. Sarika Lohana. You also, the credit goes to you, and the rich supervision and the guidance that you have given to our scholar, Mr. Govardhan Shetty, now Dr. Govardhan Shetty. Thanks.
Sir, I thank the university very much, sir, because even though in between we went through COVID, there was continuous support from the institute to conduct online programs and online seminars. Recently, sometime back, there was a seminar which was conducted for PhD scholars as to how to write the thesis. Post that, I could get a lot of input out of that particular program. And also in between, there were some programs on analytics. So this also helped me very much. So there was a continuous support from the institute, and I thank very much for the institute, and especially to you, sir. And Dr.
I think we missing, Dr. Rajkumar. I believe he was not well. He has got a health problem. I think. Yeah, I think No, he contributed a lot in all these programs.
Yes. Definitely into that. Also, Dr. Barik and Dr. Susan helped me very much in continuing my theories, along with Dr. Gautam, who took up very late, because it was a very later stage he took up. He was not aware of the subject, and he had to put his entire mind into this to understand this topic. And my co-supervisor has been supporting me since beginning.
Okay.
And she is being an expert. She has guided in many areas as to how to form my thesis.
Very good. No, Dr. Sarika, you are based in Hyderabad, or where are you? I thought she is with the SBISCM, is it?
Yeah. State Bank of India, that is in Hyderabad. She's from Maharashtra, but she's working there.
Yeah, that's what. The SBISCM, I think, is there to that. So, thank you all very much. I think the entire team has worked very hard, So our PhD coordination team and all our other faculty members, so Dr. Barik and all the team, they worked really hard, to make this happen.
Yeah, and thanks to Rumna Madam, who has been coordinating with me from day one, the first person to whom I contacted.
Yeah. Okay. No, thanks a lot, and congratulations to Dr. Rumna also. I think it's not an easy task, to coordinate with several people and several.
Yes.
So you want to take some snapshot or something, Rumna, you are waiting for something else?
No, sir, it's taken already.
Oh, taken. Wonderful. I think you're so quick, very quick, because you have taken it without Dr. Susan and without telling them. And Dr. Sarika.
No, Dr. Sarika was there when I took it.
So thanks a lot, and namaskar, and I wish all of you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Govardhan ji.
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you very much.
Nice
Congratulations,
to
both
see
of you.
Dr. Jha back.
Congratulations.
Both of you. Hearty congratulations.
All to
Thank you.
supervisors and
Shanti
Thank
and
you.
Dr. Govardhan Shetty. Both of you.
Thank you.